Good evening. Tonight we're going to be looking at the forgiving method. The forgiving method is a division strategy that you can use to help you solve a division problem. This is kind of different from what a lot of people are used to as far as division strategies go. The forgiving method basically it has less steps than the traditional method of division, so that's its real advantage. It does take a little bit of time to set up the problem though. So I went ahead, and the problem I'm working with this evening is 256 divided by 4. So I went ahead and I set up my problem like a standard division problem, and the one difference you'll notice is I put two lines underneath the problem, and you're going to use these lines to separate out the different parts of the problem that you're going to be working with, and you'll see that the two lines actually have a purpose. So your first step in using the forgiving method is to use your number that you're dividing by, which in this case is 4, and you're going to write it on the right hand side of your second line, and you're going to write it down 6 times. So next to it then, you're going to write down, and you're going to make them into 6 different multiplication problems. So you're going 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 5, 4 times 10, 4 times 20, and 4 times 100. And you're going to quickly work these out, and they should all be really easy problems to work out. The only one that's ever tricky for anybody is this 4 times 20 or 8 times 20 or whatever you're dividing by. And the way I always think about it is I cover up the 0 and do 4 times 2 is 8 and then add back that 0. So it's 80 if you have trouble with that one. If not, you're awesome. And then down here you have 4 times 100 equals 40 or 400. So what you're going to do now that you've worked out these division problems is you're basically setting up your problem as one giant subtraction problem. So you're going to look at the products over here that you used in your multiplication problem, and you're going to use them to subtract from the 256. So out of these numbers over here, I want to pick out the largest number that I can use to subtract from 256 without going over. So the 400's out in this problem. So my best option here is 80. So I'm going to put in my 80 right here. I'm going to subtract. So I have a 6. I'm going to borrow here from the 1. And I end up with 176. Now, since I used this 80 here, my other factor that I used was a 20 besides the 4. So I'm going to write a 20 over here to the left of the problem. And that's going to come back and help us get our answer. So we're now going to take this 80 again, and we're going to subtract because we still have more to subtract. So we're going to do another subtraction problem. We're going to do 176 minus 80. And this time when we subtract it, we're going to get 96. Again, we're going to put a 20 over here on the side because that was the other factor in that multiplication problem over here. And now we're left with 96. So again, we can go with an 80. We're going to put a 20 on the side, subtract, we get 16. At this point, I'm going to go back and show you guys something here in a couple minutes. But with the numbers that you're subtracting out, if you know a quicker way to get there without using these numbers on the side, certainly you can get there. So at this point, when you get to the end, you could just look at that 16 and say 4 times what equals 16. And you could go ahead, put a 4 over here, and put the 16 down, subtract it, and get 0. Or if you want to stick to the numbers that are over here, you can always just go, alright, I'm at 16. There's an 8 there. And then you're going to use another 8, and you still get there. And on the side then you'd have 2 number 2's instead of that 4, because each 8 is 2. And then where you're going to get your quotient from, or your answer, is you're going to take these numbers on the side that are on the left and you're going to add them up. So you're going to say 20 plus 20 is 40, 40 plus 20 is 60, 60 plus 2 is 62, 60 plus 2 is 64. Okay? Now, the other option you have with this type of problem, I'm going to erase this here really quick, is I have some people that are great at mental math, and they're really good with multiplication. And if you are really great with multiplication, this can actually be a really big shortcut for some students. So if you had 4 and 256 and you were really, really good with, again, mental math, you could sit here, you could look at that 256 and you could say, all right, 4 times what equals, 200. And you could put down your 50 and do 200 then. You'd have 56 left over, and you're already at 50 over here. And then take that 56 and break it down and say, I don't know how to get to, 56 exactly, but, I know I can get to 40 with 10, sticking with nice round, mental math kind of numbers. At that point, then you're down to your 16, and you know that 4 times 4 is 16, and you end up with your 0 at the bottom. Then you can take these numbers on the side, add them again. You have 50, 10, and 4 is 64. So this can be something to use, a strategy to use if you're a little shaky on the steps with the traditional method, and you want to do something with less steps, and can certainly be a help. Or it can also play to a strength if you're super strong with your multiplication facts. You're really good with mental math. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and I hope this gives you a good strategy to use when you're doing your division. Thank you.